Jesus Christ. I don't really know what I'm doing. Neither do my cats. Um, wow, I feel stupid. I am currently sitting in my house on a Tuesday, and I kind of don't know what to do with myself. And I've been playing around with the idea of talking about this a long time, mostly because I've been looking for other people's stories about this. Um, my horse has been struggling with gastric ulcers, namely glandular disease, primarily. And it's been a freaking nightmare. And I'm not really on social media, but I think even if I was, like, I don't really see people talking about this. If you hear weird noises, it's my cats. I can't make them act right. They're just going to do things. So anyway, I have really been struggling with this, and I have been looking for other people's experiences. And a lot of other people's experiences are more positive than mine. And it's kind of depressing. Like, not depressing. I'm really glad that a lot of people have good outcomes with this, but if you're out there and you're in the same struggle bus, struggle hole that I am, I just wanted to share my story. So, cutting to the chase, I have an 8-year-old off the track thoroughbred. His name is Leo. I have had him since 2020. I bought him in December of 2020 as a 3 rising 4-year-old. And I bought him just with the goal of enjoying him. I had just had kind of a long hiatus from riding, which it was kind of a psychotic decision to buy a 3-year-old off the track thoroughbred, but I've had thoroughbreds my whole life. And by that I mean I've ridden thoroughbreds my whole life. Growing up, this is going to be really long and rambly. I don't know how to friggin' do this. Growing up, I didn't have a lot of money. I've never had a ton of money. I don't have a very, prestigious job. I don't make a ton of money. I do okay. I'm very privileged that I can even afford to do it at all. But all of that to say, I didn't grow up riding nice, fancy, horses. Frankly, thoroughbreds are kind of the scrappy underdog, in my opinion. They're the scrappy underdog horse, and I love them, and they're wonderful, but they do tend to have certain struggles. And unfortunately, my horse is that stereotype. And that is not to say, I have had, the mare that I had before Leo was a bomb could go off in her ass and she wouldn't notice. I could ride her tackless. She was just so chill. She was also thoroughbred, but she also had not every, but she had a lot of the medical problems in the book, and Leo has covered everything that she didn't have. So that's not all thoroughbreds, but unfortunately, it's been my experience for the last 10 plus years. So anyway, I bought Leo with the goal of just enjoying him, just kind of having fun. My dream, my lofty goal was to go to the unrecognized event, where the jumps are literally sticks on the ground, you could walk over them. You know what I mean? That was the Olympics to me. That's what we're working with here. So I didn't have any insane aspirations. I just kind of wanted to bring along a young horse and do what he wanted to do. And I have restarted horses. I don't have a ton of experience, but I have had experience restarting thoroughbreds. So anyway, I was leasing for a long time, bought Leo, loved him. I'll have to figure out how to insert some videos of him. He's He's gorgeous. Like, like, I'm sorry. Like, I know I'm biased, but, like, objectively, this horse is fucking beautiful. He's a gorgeous mover. He has always just kind of been that way effortlessly. I didn't make him that way. He just came that way. So I can't take any credit, but he's always been a really sweet soul. He is a really complicated horse, though. He's incredibly, like, exquisitely sensitive. I've never had a horse so sensitive in my life. He notices everything. If you ride him in a different saddle pad from what you normally do, he knows, you know. And I know that I'm gonna try not to just cover my ass the whole time, but, like, listen, there are gonna be people that are like, oh, horses are sensitive, they can feel a fly land on them. I know this, I know, but I'm saying, like, this horse, if Mercury is in Gatorade, he knows. I swear to God. Like, I've never had a horse like this. If it's a full moon, okay? If a bunny farts in the woods, he knows. This is this horse. This is what we're dealing with. I'm not exaggerating. I have witnesses, you know, like other people have experienced him. He is this combination of so sweet and such a good boy, but also incredibly sensitive, which I think has played into our situation. So he also has kissing spine. I'll have to figure out how to insert some pictures. Radiographs. That was diagnosed about 8 months after I bought him. And at the time I was told it was mild, a grade 1. I think there's a grading system with ulcers and with kissing spine where I think it's like 1 out of 4, where the higher the number the worse it is. So she told me it was a 1 out of 4 grade. Anyway, he had symptoms, and this is how it showed up. I had ridden him the day before. He was great. I hadn't been having any issues with him. He was a little fidgety at the mounting block, but he had always been that way. It wasn't new, and it wasn't getting worse. And I went to tack him up one day, and I literally had him in the cross ties. I was grooming him as normal. I put my hand on his withers like this, and he flipped over. Like, I'm not exaggerating. There was no lead up to it. I touched him, okay? I didn't, like, and again, covering my ass, people are gonna be like, no, I touched him, and he flipped over. So I was like, okay, what the fuck? You know, I will say this horse has taught me a lot, because I didn't know anything about kissing. I didn't know anything really about anything. This horse is really, unfortunately, I've learned a lot, but fortunately, but also unfortunately. So anyway, took him out, lunged him. I was like, you've got it. Something's wrong. Took him out without any, like, obviously I didn't put any tack on him. I wanted to be alive. And he was fine. He was walk, trot, canter, you know, not lame. I called the vet. The vet came out. Long story short, he had kissing spine. She said give him a week or 2 off, and then, you know, go from there, and also, like, do these exercises by a Pessoa system, and we talk about that. That's the kissing spine stuff is maybe another discussion, another time. We'll see. But anyway, she gave me very rudimentary, like, do these things, blah, blah, blah. If it's not better, we can come out and inject it, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. Gave it 2 weeks. Didn't get better. It did get better. I mean, I was riding him lightly, and then one day, again, I went to get on him, and as I stood at the mounting block, he was extra fidgety, and then I, like, lined him up again, and he tried to take a chunk out of me. He turned around and tried to bite me, and I was like, okay, my bad, I didn't listen to you, I get it. Obviously something wrong, so I said, fuck it. I brought him back in, untacked him, whatever, called the vet, spiraled, Googled, did all the things. Like, don't Google kissing spine. Like, I think it's something that we're going to learn a lot about. But anyway, I was in a full-blown, like, oh my God, this horse is fucking 4 years old. I'm going to have to retire him. He's never going to be ridden, blah, blah, blah. That wasn't the case for anybody freaking out about kissing spine. There is a lot of hope with that, in my opinion. But anyway, the vet came out and did steroid injections in his DSPs, and did shockwave, and that was it. You know, and I was also learning a lot, trying to teach myself about, like, physical therapy and things that I could do to help him, you know, be stronger and move his body in a way that was better for his back. And I got a saddle fitter out, and turns out my saddle did not fucking fit, even a little bit. Stopped riding him for 3 months, found a saddle that fit him. It was a whole thing. It was a whole process. The kissing spine rabbit hole was long. But I got him to a point where I was riding regularly in a saddle that fit, and he was feeling good, and I did a lot of body work and blah, blah, blah. things were good. Things were good. He was going pretty well. Around every winter time, I was having to do shockwave, and then usually once a year. I got like 2 years out of the first set of injections, and then every year thereafter, I kind of have had to top him up. And that, from that standpoint, has been great. Now he stands like, well, not now, but before the ulcers, he was standing like a rock at the mounting block, like quite happy to be ridden. Just doing great. Hacking, like we did a lot of trail riding. You know, I was at a farm where we had huge, like, beautiful trails. We had huge, like, hay fields you could just hack around. It was just so cool. Got him to a point where I was taking pretty regular lessons, like dressage lessons. Doing great. Loving life. Doing, like, popping over a crossrail once in a blue moon. You know, we were doing big things. But all that to say, he was comfortable. And then about 1.5 years ago, I brought him in. I had ridden him the day before. Cat is making an appearance. This is Hiroki. He has a bald spot because he has allergies. It's a whole thing. But we're working on it. Anyway, brought him in, tacked him up. I had ridden him the day before. He was completely fine. Nothing had changed with the tack. Everything was the same. And the next day, I brought him in, went to ride, put the girth on. And this was a horse that had never been girthy, never flicked an ear, never turned to look at me, never any kind of signs of stress that I perceived. He stood like a rock to have his girth put on, and I never, you know, I wasn't particularly, like, gentle. Like, not that I was like, ah, but, like, I just kind of, and he was always fine. He didn't bat an eye, you know. And then one day I went to put the girth on, as I normally did, and it was like I hit him with a cattle prod. There was a lady there that saw this, you know. I feel like a crazy person sometimes. Like, I feel like there's no way this is this bad, but it's bad. And this day, I mean, he exploded. It was literally like I electrocuted him. He was bronching. Like, I thought he was going to flip over in the stall. I just kind of, you know, maybe this is like a trauma thing, but you know, when you just kind of like shut down and you're just like, wow, this is really bad. I might, you know, I might die. That was me. I was in the corner, just like, what the fuck is happening? Eventually he stopped. It felt like an eternity. It was probably like 30 seconds. And then, you know, the saddle had gone flying at some point. I didn't even get the girth on. We both kind of looked at each other like, what the fuck just happened? And my dumbass at the time, I don't know. I mean, I really thought I pinched him. I thought I did something because I had also clipped him the day before. That's important. Which is another thing. I clipped him because he has this skin thing. He had cellulitis the previous winter. It was a whole thing. Anyway, I will never fucking clip this horse again. Don't worry. But I had clipped him. So I thought, all right, I clipped you. Did I pinch you? Did I do something? Like, what the fuck happened? And thereafter, for months, I had also, this is important, I've also treated him kind of empirically just because he is a very sensitive, anxious horse. Like, there have been times where I've kind of felt like his anxiety was a little bit worse, but never anything like this. Like, it was like, oh, he's a little bit more anxious than normal. You know, things or whatever. Like, maybe 2 times I treated him with generic, like, compounded Gastrogard, which, omeprazole, should I say, not Gastrogard. It was an omeprazole and sucralfate compounded formulate. It's a whole thing. It probably doesn't work. Moral of the story, I know that now. Sucks, but it is what it is. So I had just finished that, a month of that, and then this started. So I was like, all right, it's not ulcers. Like, what the hell is going on? So for 3 months, I was baffled, and I had 3 different vets look at him. My regular vet that's been my vet for years and years and years, we checked him for Lyme. It was pretty inconclusive. If you've ever had a horse tested for Lyme, it's like titers and like you interpret them, and his were kind of like, ugh. But he was so crazy. I just went ahead and treated him with Doxy. So we did Doxy, didn't make a difference. Had another vet out because my regular vet could not do shockwave, and this vet, the second vet that I had out, could do shockwave. I wanted to shockwave his back. Like, was it something going on with that? Like, what the hell? I was riding in here, and the behavior, like, I went out and I bought a sheepskin girth and a sheepskin saddle pad the day after, the first day, And I rode in that for a while, and for a while he didn't do it again. Short intermission. Anyway, so we were talking about, I had bought the sheepskin saddle pad and the sheepskin girth. And it seemed to do the trick. Like, he was back to normal. I tacked him up the next day, and then it would just kind of happen sporadically, the blowing up. And then it was starting to happen regularly, and then it was like every time I put the girth on, we were both like apprehensive, and then it was just a nightmare, and it was a progression over many, many months. So anyway, second vet gets involved, comes out to do the shockwave. I'm talking to her about everything. I show her, I tack him up in front of her, and at this point, I'm like, I won't even use my normal saddle. I used like an old saddle that I had just for demonstration purposes because I knew he was going to flip out. I don't think I was riding him by this point. The timing is fuzzy. It's been a year and a half. You know, it is what it is. But anyway, she sees it happen. He does the thing. She's like, huh. You know, shockwave, we did a trial of Robaxin, which is a muscle relaxer. She was like, well, let's just see, like, if it's something muscular, maybe, you know, this will help. And if anything, I think it just sedated him. He's a very cheap drunk. Not cheap. I mean, there's nothing cheap about him, but it doesn't take much. So he was, you know, maybe a little sedated with the Robaxin, but no change really in his behavior. So finally, I got a third vet on board. And she's my regular vet now. She's wonderful. She's been great. So she had her out, watched him go, walk, track, canter. I think I was intermittently riding very lightly at this point, depending on the day. Like, if he flipped out, I wasn't, you know, I was just, and when I was riding, it was like hacking, like walking, you know, so I couldn't honestly really tell you anymore. But anyway, I must have been riding a little bit because she did have me get on him and watch me ride him. And at that point, before, even when he was having the crazy symptoms tacking up, under saddle, he felt fine. He was happy, ears forward, not offering any weird behaviors, not behind my leg, not doing anything weird. Walk, track, canter, fine. And then the third vet was out. She watched him go. She was like, listen, I think it's ulcers. And the reason that I hadn't had him scoped at this point was because in my area, there weren't any vets that had the capability, unless I wanted to take him to like a major vet hospital, which I didn't, because I didn't. I don't have a trailer. I would have to beg somebody to drive us. He doesn't trailer super well. You know, so I hadn't. But anyway, she got a scope in the clinic, so I made an appointment. They were only doing clinics like with a like a brand rep or something. At that point, they were still kind of learning, so they were only doing set days. So I had to wait like 3 weeks to get him scoped, and by this time he was so miserable that I was like, I can't look at you anymore. I have to treat you. So I started treating with real deal Gastrogard, not the compounded stuff. So I did 28 days of Gastrogard and then a taper, which is like half dose for 2 days, quarter dose for 4 days, something like that. Talk to your vet. I'm not a vet. And yeah, he got better. His behavior within a week, he was just back. He felt like I had my horse back. He was happier, like visibly, you know, like I tacked him up and he was more comfortable. There was some apprehension in the beginning, and then it just kind of was back to normal. Riding him normally, riding him in my regular girth, not the sheepskin girth. Like, he was going fine. And we were like, great. And I scoped him, and by the time I scoped him, he was already being treated for 3 weeks, but he just had one, like, small healing area. So they were like, just finish the course and don't rescope him, and you're good to go. So that's what I did. And I got, I think, like 6 months out of that. Spoiler alert, this doesn't have a happy ending. So about 6 months later, which brings us to like last November, December time, I had tacked him up. I was using a different saddle pad. So I thought I blamed it on this. Spoiler alert, every time he does this, it's been ulcers. It's not whatever else is happening, as much as I wish it was. So I tacked him up like normal. The girth was fine, but then I took him out and I like turned him to close the gate to the ring, and he did the thing. He blew up. And like I couldn't explain it, and I was like, what the fuck? So I tried this Abler product. They make an omeprazole. Look, I was broke. I had just spent thousands, well, like $1,700 on Gastrogard. I didn't have a lot of money. I wanted to give it a shot. I knew that it probably wasn't going to be the solution, but it was worth trying. So I tried that for like a month. It seemed like his behavior got better. And then as soon as we were done with that, he did the thing again. Very mildly. I think it was like I was doing the girth up and he just kind of did like a twitch. But I looked at him and it was just like, you have fucking ulcers again. There are going to be people, again, covering my ass. There are going to be people that are like, you don't know, you didn't scope him. Like, listen, when you see a horse every single day, and sometimes twice a day, which I do because the farm that I have him at is partial care, so I feed him every day, almost. You just know. And especially when you've been through something like this, you just know. So I knew it, and I talked to my vet, and I was like, listen, I think it's fucking ulcers again. I don't really want to spend $600 to have him scoped. It might not sound like a lot of money to some people. It's a lot of money to me. I'm not rich, okay? So I just treated him. I treated him again. Gastrogard, 28 days, taper. Things got better. That brings us to May of this year. So things were going great, I thought. Riding regularly. I also had a back injury. It was a whole thing. But he was doing great. I was riding regularly. He was doing great. You know, whatever. We went to a hunter pace, which was like the goddamn Olympics for us because we don't make it off property very much because I don't have a trailer. And it was just kind of, you know, a learning day. He was very amped because, again, this is a very anxious, stressy horse. And, you know, but it went great. He was very well behaved. We walked around the hunter pace. We didn't actually wind up riding in the hunter pace itself, but the atmosphere was a lot. It was at a hunt club. It was a whole thing. It was great. We had a great day. Brought him home the next day. He tried to chop his leg off out in the field. I don't know what he did, but he came in with a giant, like, puncture. It wasn't giant. It looked giant. It was like a big scrape and a small puncture wound in one of his front legs, like the top. So I called the vet out. Vet came out, flushed it out, and he was on stall rest for a whopping 24 hours. This is not a horse that does stall rest. He will literally canter around a 12 by 12 stall on trazodone and ACE if he's kept inside, even with other horses in. He does not want to be in a stall. He lives out 24/7 and he comes in for like an hour a day to eat. That's his life. So being on stall rest sucked, but he had staples in his leg. So the vet said keep him in. So I was like, okay, I'll try. She gave me some trazodone. I'd never tried that before. Spoiler alert, didn't work. I mean, it probably prevented him from galloping around the stall, but he was still cantering around the stall, which was not ideal. So anyway, at like 8 p.m. the next day, I'm calling my vet in a fit of desperation. Listen, I know you wanted me to keep him in for a week, but he's like gonna climb the walls. Like, please let me turn him out. So I turn him out. And he's on the antibiotics. And then like a week later, I went to tack him up and he damn near flipped over again. So it was like a perfect storm of things. We went off property. He injured himself. He was on stall rest and on antibiotics. So like kind of a gastrointestinal nightmare. And it was the same thing. It was like night and day. And he was miserable. And this time I knew what was happening. I was like, I'm not going to fucking ride you. I texted my vet. I was like, I want to scope him. I want to know what the hell is happening. So I had to wait 3 weeks. It was miserable. I wasn't even not riding, like just handling him, just bringing him in from the field was miserable. He was just he was on one. And I know why now, because he had a giant fucking hole in his stomach. So we scoped him at the end of May, and he had she called it a grade 3 or 4 ulcer, and the way that I'll describe it to you, I'll try to put a picture in. When we found it, I was there when she scoped him. When we found it, there were 2 vets, and they both just looked at the screen and said, "Oh." And I said, "Oh, great." So it was a big fucking ulcer. It was glandular. It was right next to the pyloric sphincter. Not a good time. So had kind of a come to Jesus conversation with the vet, and I was like, listen, I feel like I'm doing everything. He'd also been on sucralfate for months before this, by the way. I think after the second time I treated him with Gastricard in like January, he started on sucralfate twice a day. So I had a conversation with my vet. I'm like, listen, I feel like I'm doing everything that I can from like a management standpoint to prevent these ulcers, and they're still happening. So, and they were basically like, yeah, you are. Not a whole lot else, whatever. So we treated him. I'm just getting ready to finish a 2-month course of Gastricard, sucralfate, and misoprostol. I have been getting up at blood o'clock in the morning before work to give him his meds every day. I don't work every day, but like my point. It just fucking it sucked, and it seemed like things were getting better for a while. He was I didn't even try to ride him for the first month that he was getting treated, and then a couple weeks ago I started like doing very light riding, walking, doing a little bit of trot. A week ago-ish, he came in with a really fat left front leg, like between his knee and his pastor, and I thought he had like done like a tendon injury or something. It was a whole mental breakdown moment. Turns out he just got stung by like a ground bee or something that got stuck in his fly boot, which is kind of frustrating because my vet told me, keep him in. So I kept him in for another 24 hours with a friend on a lot of sedatives. He's also on Prozac to try with the anxiety. It's a whole thing. Not helping. Or maybe helping a little bit, but not enough. So anyway, that 24 hours was miserable, and I think it set him back with the ulcers because a couple days later, when the leg was back to normal, I went to put my saddle on and he flipped out again. And it was heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. This horse is 8. And he's beautiful, and he's sick. There's something wrong, and I can't fix it, and I am really struggling. So, my vet reached out to one of the major vet hospitals, and just to see like what their input would be, and they think that it's related to his kissing spine, which I'm not sure, to be honest with you. But the issue is I'm doing everything from like a management standpoint with the kissing spine, and he can't do surgery because he cannot be in a stall. He will kill himself, and I will kill myself probably. Not really. Maybe. So surgery is just not an option for him. So I don't want to take him to the major vet hospital and have them tell me, oh, we'll do a bone scan, let's see, and then tell me, oh, he has kissing spine. I know he has kissing spine. Well, let's do surgery. I can't do surgery. I'm already doing injections, shockwave. I'm doing everything that I can do. I can't fix that. Or, I don't know. Does he have ECVM? I don't know. Like, again, like any of these like major like axial skeleton issues, it's so hard to diagnose and also to know what's contributing to what. They can't talk. He can't tell me, oh, my back hurts every single day. Some horses are super stoic, some are not. My horse is not very stoic, but also, I just don't know. I don't know. And I'm heartbroken because I have an appointment to scope him in August, beginning of August, like a week from now. I'm certain he has ulcers. I am certain he still has them. I don't know how bad they are, but the way that he's behaving is pretty much how he was behaving when we started this course of treatment 2 months ago. So that's really demoralizing. I've been kind of killing myself financially, mentally, emotionally, treating him, and it didn't work. It's been a year and a half of hell. Honestly, like, constantly looking at him and hoping and praying that please don't have ulcers again. Please, like, don't have some kind of chronic condition that I can't fix. And that's exactly where we are. So I don't know what to do, honestly. I don't have the money to have 2 horses. I can barely afford this horse. And even if I was doing the bare minimum for Leo, I wouldn't be, because you never know. Like, I could get another horse and have the same freaking thing happen, and I can't have 2. So I'm looking at this, and the other thing is I wouldn't be able, personally, this is just me, I'm not judging anybody else's situation. For me personally, I will not be able to live with myself if I put him down only because he can't be ridden again, basically for my convenience. So that's not an option. You know, now if I take him and I scope him and he has worse ulcers than he had before, or if the vet like tells me, listen, and this is also, I don't know. Sorry, I'm like getting really disorganized because I don't know. I'm in a really shitty limbo right now. If I thought that he was miserable and he was in pain every day, I would put him down. Right now, he is miserable. I don't know. I don't know. And that's the thing. I don't know. He can't tell me. Like, I think based on his behavior when I'm handling him, he's very different from the horse that I used to have. And he seems more anxious and drawn and just, the spookiness, like, baseline for him is already pretty high. I mean, if a bunny farts in the woods, he goes through the roof right now. So I'm like, is it ethical for me to turn you out in a field and hope that you can just be comfortable? I don't know. These are all conversations I'm going to have with the vet, but I think I'm coming to terms with the fact I'm not going to be able to ride this horse anymore. I don't know why the ulcers keep happening. Could it be chronic pain from the kissing spine? Maybe. I don't friggin' know. It's just so frustrating because, again, he's 8 and he's beautiful and I love him. And I have tried so hard and it didn't make a difference. Doesn't feel like it made a difference. So that's where I am. This is my experience with glandular ulcers. I have tried every supplement under the sun. I have dialed in his diet. I have done, like, just trust. Maybe I can do an episode. Maybe I can make another video about all the things that I did trying to mitigate this issue. I don't know. I don't know if anybody wants to sit here and hear me talk about that, but just trust and believe. He has turned out 24/7 in a small herd that he loves in a huge field with lots of good grass. He gets hay in the winter. He lives as low stress a life as I can make it right now. His diet is very low NSC. He doesn't get a lot of concentrate. He's always been a very easy keeper for a thoroughbred. That's been the one thing. If anything, he's actually kind of obese right now. We're working on it. I've tried every supplement under the sun, known to man. I have tried them all. None of them worked. I've even tried some. I've done it all, it feels like. I don't know. So anyway, if you're in this situation with your horse where you just feel like you're at the end of your rope I feel you. And I just wanted to, I don't want to scare anybody. I'm not saying, like, a lot of horses that go through treatment for ulcers do fine. Mine is just an outlier. And I know that there are other outliers out there. And if you're going through that, I just wanted to have this experience out there. I don't know what I'm going to do. You know, I think what I will probably wind up doing after I get him scoped and talk to the vet, I'm going to pull his shoes. I'm going to take all the extra stuff away because I can't afford. I'm spending a lot of freaking money right now, okay? For me, it's a lot of money. I'm going to peel all of the extra things away and just throw him out in the field. And I'm not, you know, I'm going to come and like take care of him and make sure he's okay, but I'm not going to try to ride. I'm not going to bring him into a stall to feed him. I'm not going to do any of that. You know, he's just going to be a horse out in the field. And if he can't be comfortable that way, then I have a really, really shitty decision to make. So anyway, if you're here with me, my heart goes out to you. I know this sucks. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's horse is different. Just because this happened to me does not mean it's going to happen to you. I'm not a veterinarian. Talk to your veterinarian, you know. But yeah, I am just a lady sitting in my house. Not really sure what to do with myself because ordinarily I would be getting ready to ride right now. And that's not an option for me. So I hope you're taking care of yourself. I hope that your horses are healthy and happy. I hope that you are healthy and happy. And that's all I got. Bye.